The wind cut across the savanna like a knife of stone, sharp and unrelenting. The grass whispered in long golden waves, bending toward a distant horizon where thunderclouds brewed. A small band of Homo erectus huddled together near a rocky outcrop, their eyes constantly scanning the open plains. At their center sat a flicker of orange, a fire. It was not made by their own hands, not yet. This flame had been stolen weeks ago from a lightning-struck tree. They kept it alive as if it were a living creature, feeding it dry twigs, guarding it from rain, sheltering it from wind. They didn't yet understand fire's secrets, but they understood its power. For fire meant safety. The need to move 1 million years ago, life was a constant migration. The seasons dictated movement. Herds moved north when rains returned, predators followed the herds, and humans followed both. This band, 12 individuals, from the youngest child to the eldest grandmother, carried only what they could hold: sharp stone tools, digging sticks, and a few skins for warmth. They had no permanent homes, no walls, no fields. The land was both their provider and their enemy. Food and the chase meat was precious, but it was rarely caught through direct hunting. Most often, survival meant scavenging. The men and women for roles were shared more than in later societies would spot vultures circling or hear the distant roars of lions. They would approach cautiously, waiting for the big predators to finish their feast. Then, with courage and noise, they would drive away the hyenas and tear off what was left. It was dangerous. A lion might return, a hyena might bite, but it was worth it. Meat meant strength. The protein fed their bodies, and the fat fed their growing brains. Over time, this diet would change the course of human evolution. Still, meat wasn't everything. They gathered roots, tubers, nuts, berries, and honey when they could find it. The women were skilled in knowing which plants to eat and which to avoid. A single wrong choice could be deadly. The children learned by watching, imitating, and tasting only after an elder had tested the food first. The silent language, their voices were not yet like ours. They had words, yes, grunts, calls, and short utterances, but much was said through gesture, facial expression, and posture. A quick wave of the arm might mean come here. A sharp whistle might mean danger. But communication was more than survival signals. Around the fire at night, they mined stories. The hunt that got away, the hyena that almost stole a child, the strange bird with bright feathers. These moments bound them together, building trust, the invisible glue that kept the group alive, enemies everywhere. The savanna was home to dangers humans could not yet control. Saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, packs of wild dogs, and crocodiles lurking near watering holes. But perhaps the greatest threat was not the predators, it was other humans. Territory meant survival, and if two bands met at the same waterhole during the dry season, tension was inevitable. A standoff could end with shouting and stone throwing, or with death. Our ancestors knew the cost of losing. Fewer mouths meant fewer defenders, fewer hunters, fewer eyes to spot danger. The great drought 1 year. The rains came late. The rivers shrank to muddy trickles. The herds wandered far, and food grew scarce. The band grew thin, and arguments broke out more often. Then came a decision that would change everything: to follow the river upstream into unfamiliar land. It was a gamble. They could find water and food, or they could walk themselves into a desert. For days they traveled, crossing rocky hills and dry valleys, carrying the precious fire in a bundle of smoldering embers wrapped in damp leaves. At night, they huddled closer together than ever, the stars brilliant above them. On the 10th day, they found it, a valley rich with figs, small game, and a deep pool of fresh water. Here they rested, healed, and gathered strength. Tools of survival, stone tools, were their most prized possessions. Made from flint and quartzite, these hand axes could cut meat, scrape hides, and crack open bones for marrow. Tool making was an art learned by imitation, watching an elder strike stone against stone at just the right angle to create a razor-sharp edge. With tools, they became more than scavengers. They could butcher an animal quickly before predators arrived, dig for roots in hard soil, and split open nuts too tough for teeth alone. Lessons from fire in this valley, they began to understand fire more deeply. They learned that meat roasted over flames was easier to chew and digest. Smoke kept away biting insects at night. Ash could soothe skin irritations. And the warmth meant they could endure colder nights without shivering until dawn. Fire was no longer just a gift stolen from nature. It was becoming a partner in survival. Though it would be many thousands of years before humans mastered the art of creating fire from scratch, this was a turning point. The long-view generations would pass, and the children of these children would move on again, carrying their tools, their skills, and their fire. Over time, brains grew larger, language became richer, and the ability to plan ahead deepened. Survival was never guaranteed. One bad hunt, one injury, one predator in the night could end it all. But slowly humans learned to bend the odds in their favor. Cooperation, adaptability, and the sharing of knowledge became their greatest weapons. And so, 1 million years ago, life was a daily battle, but also a triumph of resilience. Our ancestors endured ice ages, droughts, predators, and rival tribes. They survived not because they were the fastest, the strongest, or the fiercest, but because they learned to work together, to adapt, and to pass on the wisdom of survival.